Boston.com, Gem Plumbing, and by Golf.
On Boston's home for sports, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
So the tying run coming to the plate, and Francisco Alvarez has gone 2 for 3, a double and a single. That fan's coming to life. Ground ball right side. Hamilton flips. That's one. On the first, double play. And the Red Sox win it on a twin killing 4-6-3 ball game. Ramon Vasquez, as the fill-in manager, picks up the W. Really nice win for the Sox here in Game 1.
One of the most complete wins of the year, right? Dobbins goes out 4 2/3, doesn't get deep. That's not his job. But he keeps it down. The bullpen comes in. They're lights out. You get offense to one of the best pitchers in the game right now. Just a good, complete win here for the Boston Red Sox.
Well, I agree with Lou Merloni. One of their better wins of the season, 3-1 was the final last night against the New York Mets. We'll open up the phone lines right away, 617-779-0985. Here's the problem with last night. What does it mean? The one-off games where the Red Sox play well don't mean anything. So what does it mean? When you have a game like that, part of me wants to look at it and say, well, that's frustrating because they have it in them. They have it in them to do the little things and win games 3-1. And the pitching is the pitching. So Hunter Dobbins last night was pretty good. They pulled him out of the game in the middle innings because as he goes through the lineup 2 or 3 times, teams have been starting to hit Dobbins. So Ramon Vasquez was aggressive with the bullpen. They went to the relievers, but it was probably going to be the kind of game last night that you had to win by a score of 3-1. It was going to have to be that way. The Red Sox typically have not excelled in those situations. But you know what they did last night that they don't normally do? They played a sound game defensively. They didn't run into outs. They turned a double play to end it that, by the way, I'm not sure would have been turned if Christian Campbell would have been playing second base. But that's another story for another day. Last night, they turned it. And so you look at the game and say they made contact, big one. They made a contact to get a couple of runs home, and they won the game 3-1. So if the Red Sox can repeat it, now I'm interested. Now I'm paying attention. Now they're showing me that they can hit bad pitching and win a game 18-6, or they can win a game 3-1, or they can win somewhere in between, which to me is the challenge every year for every team in every sport. But sticking to baseball, the challenge for the Red Sox. Show me you can win in multiple ways. That's when I know you have a good team. Me personally. So again, let me open up the phone lines and say 617-779-0985. I'll take your calls on anything and everything. But aside from the reaction to one game, which in baseball is hard to do, I also feel compelled to give you sort of bigger picture topics and problems that exist with the Red Sox, sometimes exist in the sport, but bigger picture issues and problems that have me wondering about who the Red Sox are and where they're going. And I touched on this last night, which is their ability to evaluate their own players. So when we look at the Red Sox and the dilemma that they're in, the fact that they're sub 500, they are basically a third of the way through the season, and that they have not presented themselves or convinced anyone that they are really that much better off than they've been in the past. So when I look at that, I say, well, what's the problem here? Because as Peter Abraham pointed out in today's Boston Globe, and we'll get to more of that column here in a moment, but Abraham said, if you look at all the new guys, they've basically performed well. So Walker Buehler, before he went on the injured list, and he has since been activated. Jimmy, he's starting tonight, I presume, right? I saw the
Correct.
roster move. Okay, so Walker Buehler is going to start tonight. He's back. Walker Buehler, when he's been healthy, has been pretty good. Same for Garrett Crochet. Same for Alex Bregman. Aroldis Chapman has been a pleasant surprise. So it's not the new guys. The new guys have done their part. I'm starting to wonder about how the Red Sox evaluate their own players, and I'm talking about the guys in the minor leagues. So for years we heard the Red Sox have positional prospects, they don't have pitching prospects. And yet I would argue that a lot of the positional prospects they brought up, and I'm not talking about Christian Campbell, but some of the other guys that they brought up, have they really lived up to the billing of what we thought they were going to be? Tanner Houck was a first-round pick. He has now regressed. He's on the injured list. He has pitched as badly as any pitcher in the major leagues this year. But let me back up. Bobby Dahlbeck, back in 2021, after the All-Star break, Bobby Dahlbeck had 269 with 15 homers and 42 RBI. His OPS in the second half of that season was 955. For the year, he finished with 25 home runs and 78 RBI. That was in 2021. When the Red Sox got to the postseason that year, Dahlbeck wasn't playing because they had gone out and picked up Kyle Schwarber. So immediately, and I'm not sitting here and telling you I told you so. But immediately after that season, I looked at it and said, ooh, this is a good time to trade Dahlbeck. Somebody will give you something for him, even if it's bullpen help. The Red Sox kept him. You know what they got for him when they ultimately cut bait and moved on? Nothing. Zero. Ceddanne Rafaela in the minor leagues hit 280 with an OPS over 800, 806. He was hyped up as being able to play multiple positions, and he could run and had power. Had an 806 OPS in the minors. The Red Sox unnecessarily gave him a multi-year deal that was, Jimmy, was it 8 years or 6 years or whatever it was, 6 years and $50 million?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay, somewhere in that range. I don't have it in front of me, but it was somewhere in that range, 6 years and $55 million. He's come to the majors and hit 245 with an OPS of 662. A good organization would have identified that and would have traded him for something. Brian Bayo, here's another one. In the minor leagues, 29 and 22 with a 3.68 ERA. At AAA, his ERA was 3.15. The Red Sox got him to the big leagues pretty quickly. You know what he's done since? 30 and 28, 439. They needed him to be a front-end starter. As it's turned out, he's at best a middle-of-the-rotation starter. He's really like a number 4, at least based on his performance. So again, did they evaluate the player properly? Could they have gotten something for him early on? Jimmy, there was one of those deals with the White Sox where didn't they want Bayo for, who the hell was it that the White Sox traded?
Dylan Cease.
Dylan Cease, there you go. Dylan Cease. They wanted Bayo from the Red Sox. You tell me, would they have been better off making that deal? The Red Sox didn't want to make it. They thought Bayo was going to be good. Instead, he's frustrating, doesn't fulfill his potential, is immature, and by the way, these are the important years because these are the ones where you're paying him the least. And I know they signed him to a contract too. But if it takes Brian Bayo 6 or 7 years to turn into the pitcher he did, which is what it took with Tanner Houck, then he's not going to be have the same value to you. It has to happen sooner. So this is what I'm getting at. Have the Red Sox misevaluated these guys? Have they failed to develop them? Why aren't these guys getting better in the big leagues under Alex Cora and under the staff? Do we blame Cora for that, or are the players not that good and they misevaluated them from the beginning? So there's lots of blame to go around on that, because I look at the guys that are in the lineup, and by the way, Jarren Duran's another one. I don't know, should they have traded him at the end of last season when he was the MVP of the All-Star game and had one of the best OPSs in the sport, or best WARs in the sport? Shouldn't that have been a time to cut bait? Go get something of value for him, treat him like a stock, increase the value, and then move him for something of equal or better value that you know can play? Let someone else take the cheese? Tristan Casas, is he one of those guys? In the minor leagues, we've had a couple of people call in the last couple of weeks about Blaze Jordan. There was a time early on in his minor league career where the Red Sox were pumping the crap out of Blaze Jordan. Now he's in Double-A, feels like a mediocre player, not even a prospect anymore, just a minor leaguer. How many of those guys have existed that the Red Sox have made either developmental or, what's the right word? Evaluation mistakes? They're not the players that they should have been or that people thought they were, or they didn't become the players that they should have been. How many of those guys are there? And is that part of the reason you're in the spot you're in? Where you made all these trades and acquisitions, Bregman, Crochet, Chapman, all those guys. And you're still in the spot you're in, basically 500. And before you talk about the fact that so much of the season remains, I'm not the only one who believes that the Red Sox need a change. Peter Abraham in today's Globe basically spelled out something similar. So it's all under examination now, if you ask me. We'll get to all that in Pete Abe's column when we come back on the Baseball Hour. I see a number of you lined up already. Don't go anywhere. We'll get to your calls as well.
I've been here with Alex since 18. Like, this is a special place. Like, the fact that I was able to manage my first game in the big leagues with this organization and at this ballpark, it makes it even more special. So I officially retired as a manager today and on. So yeah, it's exciting. I think that happened for me.
Of his daughter, Red Sox won the game 3-1. Cora back there tonight. And Red Sox, Cora's not the only one back tonight, by the way. Christian Campbell also back in the lineup in center field. And Campbell has missed the last 2 games. He's had a lot of struggles of late. I want to get to him as well as the Pete Abe column. But I also forgot to mention Trivia Tuesday tonight. We'll do that next segment. Give away a Gulf gas card for $50. All you have to do is answer one question correctly. But again, that's next segment. Just giving you a little advance warning. First, let's take a couple of calls. Dalton is in Dedham. Dalton, what do you got?
Hey, how we doing?
Good.
Good. So I was just going to quick ask you and the guys. I think this Christian Campbell thing, him going to first, do you think this is a path for Marcelo Meyer to take over the second base position? I know Cora is a big David Hamilton guy, but we do need it. We do need a spark. And what do you think is the time frame on Rowan Anthony coming up to center field? Because I know.
Okay, Dalton, I'm going to let you go there just because, again, you're throwing a lot at me. But the bottom line is the timeline for Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony. Anthony gets a little more complicated, although they could certainly move Duran to center, put Anthony in left, and send Rafaela back to the minors, put him on the bench, whatever. Rafaela's been better of late, certainly. As for second base, Jimmy Stewart, I'm going to ask you to grab the second of those 2 Cora cuts on Christian Campbell if we could. That relates to Christian Campbell moving to first base, obviously. If Christian Campbell goes and plays first, then you have an opening at second. Marcelo Meyer can come up and play every day because you're not going to bring Meyer up here to be a part-time player. So if Campbell is going to move around from second base to center field to bringing Meyer up here doesn't make any sense. But if you move Campbell to first, now you need an everyday second baseman. Hamilton becomes the utility guy he is. That makes more sense. So you tell me. Here is what Cora said when asked about the timeline for Christian Campbell at first.
The physical stuff aside, how would you grade where he is in terms of what you need to see before putting him in?
I saw the first day. I haven't seen the other 2, but Flo feels like around the back he's moving better. The ground ball is the ground ball, right? And we do believe he's going to make plays, but I think around the back is the most important thing. We saw what happened when Tristan got hurt, right? Smith, not much experience, and he was in the middle of the bag, so we have to avoid stuff like that. So I don't know where we at in the scale of 10, probably 2.5, 3, and we'll try to get to 10 as soon as possible, but being smart about it.
So likely not before the homestand.
No, yeah.
Okay, so again, Alex Cora says developmentally at first base on 1 to 10, Christian Campbell's like 2.5. McAdams says, so not before the end of the homestand. Cora dismissed it out of hand. I don't think you're going to see Christian Campbell at first base anytime soon. This is what I'm getting at. So the way Cora answered the end of that, Jimmy, let's just play the end again if we could. Listen to the exchange. So not before the end of the homestand. Oh, no.
I don't know where we at in the scale of 10, probably 2.5, 3, and we'll try to get to 10 as soon as possible, but being smart about it.
So likely not before the homestand.
No, yeah.
Yeah, no, what are you, crazy? End of the homestand?
No, yeah.
How about the All-Star break? Maybe.
No, yeah.
Something like that. So it's going to be a while for Marcelo Meyer to get here. And again, you can be annoyed by that. I wouldn't blame you. But I would tell you that I do think it's a lot to ask that Campbell's going to all of a sudden be able to play first base in the big leagues with just a few workouts there at first base. I don't think he's quite ready for that as a young player. And I would say this is where you should be mad at Devers. It would be easier for Devers to make the switch because Devers is a veteran who's a proven big league hitter and knows he can hit in the big leagues. So even if he went through some sort of change and adjustment, the hitting he should be able to do with his eyes closed. Moondog in Boston on a question about Alex Cora. Go ahead, Moondog.
Yeah, I guess my question is, has anyone actually gone back? You talked about the splits between the first 3 years and the past 5 years. Is the difference just the first 3 years he was able to get away with a little cheating, and the past 5 years he's been on the level? Is it as simple as that?
So you're talking about Cora now and his record before and after. And I'll tell you, I wouldn't have thought of it in those terms, but you raise an interesting point. So Pete Abraham writes in today's Globe, the Orioles, Pirates, and Rockies have already fired their managers this season. The Red Sox should not be thinking about that with Alex Cora. But it's also true that Cora was 284 and 202. That's a 584 winning percentage in his first 3 seasons. And just so we're clear, the first 3 seasons were 18 and 19, which were both before the suspension, and then 2021, when he returned from his suspension and got the Red Sox in the playoffs. That Red Sox team, I think, won 90 games on the nose, might have been 91 in 2021. They nearly gave it away down the stretch, but they did get in. They had a pretty good year. Then they made it to the ALCS, and they ultimately lost to the Astros in 6 games. So Cora was, through 2021, had a winning percentage of 584. Since that time, it's 487. So he's had a losing record, 13 games under 500 since the start of the 2022 season. Now, is that because he's had a bad roster that Chaim Bloom gave him? Or is that because they're no longer cheating? So I would lean towards the roster than the cheating, because I happen to think that Cora can make great evaluations in real time in terms of how a game's going. But the numbers are the numbers, and you're not wrong to go down and think the way you want to think. I'm not going to tell you how to think. I happen to think Cora's a good baseball guy. But I understand the question. And when you start to look at some of the ways the Red Sox have handled their roster, again, I'll read from Pete Abe just to give you an idea. Before it's too late, writes Abraham. Again, this is not me. For those of you who think it's still early in the season, it's not. I say this every year. What you do in the first couple of months decides how much ownership is going to spend on you in the middle of the year. That's what decides it. So let me ask you right now, here today, if you were the owner of the team, would you pour more money into this, or would you think about moving off pieces? So you can say you'd spend more. I'm telling you the moves will be more conservative when you have a losing record. But, again, Abraham writes, the Red Sox need to act decisively and change the look and functionality of their roster. It starts at shortstop with Trevor Story. He has hit 4th, 5th, or 6th in 44 of the first 49 games this season with an OPS of 618 and 8 extra base hits. He has 59 strikeouts, the most in the American League. So what you have there is effectively Pete Abe calling for the benching or release of a veteran player. If Alex Cora wants to take control of that team and of that clubhouse, getting Story out of the lineup is a good way to do it. Now, would the Red Sox release him with $46 million left on his deal? He has 2 more years? I doubt it. But you could put him on the bench. You also could bring up Roman Anthony and get Rafaela out of there, although I don't think it sends the same message if you go after a young player. But that would get a big bat in the middle of the lineup in Anthony and move Story down to the bottom of the batting order. So the Red Sox have too many strikeouts in their lineup, too many easy outs, too many guys who've been here that they're not getting enough out of. Again, the new guys are producing. So how do they fix that? Jarren Duran, another guy they could have traded at the end of last year and got something for. They didn't. They kept him. His OPS, not exactly exploding this year either. Trying to find the actual number here that Pete Abraham put in his story. He's got a 316 on base for the season. Bad for a leadoff man. Now, lately, Duran's been better. Jimmy, you said he's got like a 9-game hitting streak now, right? Or something like that.
In his last 9 games, he's hitting 342 with an OPS of 954.
Okay, so again, now Duran is starting to hit. Good. They're still under 500. And is that going to stay that way for the rest of the year like it did last year, or have we already seen the best of Jarren Duran? These are the questions the Red Sox should be asking over there, because you seriously have to look at this team and wonder why it hasn't come together. And part of the reason it hasn't come together is because I think they've misevaluated or failed to develop the talent they've had in the system. It's one or the other. Kevin. time of the week. Trivia Tuesday presented by Gulf, where you can win a $50 gas card from Gulf to fuel your way to Fenway. Now, let me just say, sadly, $50 doesn't get you what it used to when it comes to gas, but it's still pretty good. Jimmy, what's it cost you to fill your tank? Just out of curiosity.
$35.
Okay, $35. So depending on the size of your car and the price for gas at that particular time, it could cost you less than $50, could cost you more than $50. But whatever it is, $50 is $50. And all you have to do is answer one question. Now, years ago, when we started this, I actually liked the wrong answers better than the right ones. Not that I'm rooting against you. I'm not. I'm looking to give away the gift card. But I will say that overall, the wrong answers usually make me laugh. So let me just say this quickly. We'll take two callers right now on the contest line, which is 617-931-0985. Callers 1 and 2 on the contest line. I'll ask the question to caller 1. If he or she gets it right, the contest is over. I give out the gift card. If they get it wrong, we go to contestant 2. Same thing. But if that contestant gets it wrong, we'll then invite 2 more callers on. So again, but you have to call the contest line, 617-931-0985. And I'll just add that the reason why I like the wrong answers, let me give you an example of how this went many years ago. Fortunately, we don't have the audio, so you're going to have to take my reenactment of it or something thereabouts. But one of the questions I asked was, Fenway Park opened for the Red Sox on April 20th, 1912. That was the first opening day at Fenway Park for the Red Sox. However, they actually played, the Red Sox did, their first game at Fenway on April 9th of 1912 against a local college team nicknamed the Crimson. Okay, that
Alabama.
Jimmy, I didn't realize you had the audio. So here's what the caller said. Again, the question was, the Red Sox opened Fenway Park unofficially on April 9th, 1912, with an exhibition game against a local college team named the Crimson. Name that team.
Alabama. Incorrect. So I didn't. Jimmy, you kept the audio. Good. I didn't even know that. That's one of my favorite ones. So anyway, 617-931-0985. Here's the contest line. I every time I hear it, I still laugh out loud. 617-931-0985 is the number on the contest line. We actually have a pair of contestants already on the line, so we're going to go to them right away. We'll kick it off tonight with Bob in New Hampshire. He is contestant 1. Bob, are you there?
Yes, I am, Tony. How are you doing tonight?
Okay, I'm good. Thank you. So last week I asked a couple of Pete Rose questions because Pete Rose had just been, or Rob Manfred, the commissioner, had announced that he was lifting the lifetime ban on Pete Rose, thereby, making him eligible again for the Hall of Fame. It's a long way to get there, but that's what happened. So I'm going to ask you a Pete Rose question. How old are you, Bob?
Okay. 55.
You're 55. Okay, then you might have a chance of getting this right. Pete Rose is baseball's all-time hits leader, as everyone knows, surpassing or breaking the record that was previously held by Ty Cobb, who is now number 2 on the list. So on the all-time hits list, Rose is number 1, Cobb's number 2. Who's third?
Oh, God. Let's go with Hank Aaron.
Hank Aaron is correct.
All right.
Holy crap, he got it right. Okay, stay on the line, Bob. Hank Aaron, third all-time in hits. Bob wins the $50 gas card from Gulf. Again, Trivia Tuesday presented by Gulf. All you have to do is download the Gulf Pay mobile app for everyday savings. Gulf, it all starts here. All right, good job. I think we asked that last week and nobody got it right.
I got it right last week.
Can I just say quickly that Hank Aaron is, in my estimation, maybe the most underrated player in the history of the sport, which sounds kind of silly when you talk about a guy who's number 3 on the hit list and was baseball's home run king. But just think about that. Hit more home runs than anybody else up to that point in time, 755. And number 3 on the hit list, all-time RBI leader, Gold Gloves, Silver Sluggers, stolen bases. Hank Aaron, frankly, did it all.
All-time total bases leader as well.
I mean, really. And hit 755 home runs without ever hitting as many as 50 in a season.
Career 305 hitter.
So Hank Aaron, really, one of the great players in the history of the game. People think of him solely as the home run king until Barry Bonds broke that record. He was much, much more than that. Anyway, back to your calls. Danny in the car on the Red Sox pitching staff. What do you got, Danny?
Hey, Tony. So I just want to go back a couple of weeks. I think you had a guest from Mass Live. It might have been Chris. When he said, once we lost out on Max Fried and the Sox lost out on the bid, that's when they pivoted over to Crochet. I wanted to jump through the radio that night, and while I'll enjoy the product and I love it every summer, I went to the game the other night, a big supporter of the team. They need another one pitcher. Basically, stick a fork in the Fenway Frank this year, and it'd be a miracle if they sneak in. So.
Yeah, so Danny, I'll tell you what, we had a call last night, and I think it was Ray from Revere who calls the program regularly, and he made this point, and it's not a bad one, that if you look at the division standings, and the Red Sox right now are 5 games out, or at least they were on the Yankees. Let me just check that, give you the updated standings going into tonight's games. But if you look at the American League, they're 4.5 out, 6 out in the loss column with New York. If you go to the wild card standings in the American League, the Red Sox are 4 games out of the top wild card spot with the Minnesota Twins. In fact, 4 out of the final spot with the Cleveland Guardians. Minnesota, Kansas City, and Cleveland have all played pretty well. So the point being is, rather than needing 3 teams to fail, and Houston and Texas are both in front of the Red Sox in the wild card race right now as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The Red Sox are 6th in the wild card. In the American League East, they're actually in 2nd, despite the losing record. Their better path might be to win the division, but that would require catching the Yankees. You got some head-to-head games coming up with the Yankees, but that might be the way to go. There might be merit to that argument. But back to your original question or your point. The right answer for the Red Sox in terms of Max Fried or Garrett Crochet is both. If you really want to threaten for a championship, you need both. You needed to go out and sign Fried, prevent him from going to the Yankees. And by the way, you could argue that the difference between the Red Sox and the Yankees right now is Max Fried. Fried, I think, is still unbeaten, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I'll try to punch those up, two things at once, which for me is always a big ask. Fried overall
6-0, $1.29 ERA, 10 games started.
Okay, still 6-0. So, I look at that and say, if you had Fried and Crochet, well, now you're talking. Now, one of those other guys, maybe you could have dealt Bayo. You probably wouldn't have signed Buehler, so maybe that's the obvious and easy answer. But you could endure some of the struggles and uncertainty in the other spots. And given how Richard Fitz pitched early on in the year, how Dobbins is now pitching, you obviously had some depth there to rotate bodies in the final 3 spots of your rotation. But you needed 2 legitimate starters at the front end. One of the big problems with the Red Sox this year, maybe the single biggest problem with the Red Sox, is the fact that nobody other than Crochet has given them anything. So you want to say that every team has problems at the bottom of the rotation? Fine. No issue. Typically, the numbers 4 and 5 spots can be rotated or it can be volatile, however you want to describe that. But you've got to have at least a couple of sure things in your rotation. And again, I gave you that stat yesterday for people who think that starting pitching doesn't mean anything anymore in the big leagues. 83% of all games are decided in the first 5 innings. 83%. So last night, the Red Sox scored early and then held the Mets down for the rest of the night. They won the game. Now, they haven't had the pitching staff to typically do that on any sort of regular basis, but if they can put the ball in play, which is what they did in the early part of the game last night, there was a ground out that scored a run in the first inning, and Trevor Story lunged out over the plate and pulled the ball down the line. That, frankly, was just him trying to make contact. But if you can do that, have half-decent pitching, you're going to win a large majority of the time. So that's how they won last night. But the Red Sox just don't have reliable starters. We'll see whether Walker Buehler can be that for them now that he's back in the rotation. Return was activated tonight from the injured list facing the New York Mets, whom he pitched well against in the playoffs last year, by the way. So 617-779-0985. We'll wrap it up with your calls on the Baseball Hour. talking about Christian Campbell's transition to first base. Campbell's in center field last night, I should tell you that, for a couple of reasons. One, Raphael is out of the lineup, obviously. Hamilton's playing second base. Cora said they have a bunch of games coming up here without a day off. And so they wanted to get Raphael out of there and, give everybody a chance to get their breathers here and there, et cetera. So that's part of the logic. Also, I'll tell you quickly with regard to tonight's game, they're in the bottom of the first. Walker Buehler in his first inning after coming off the injured list struck out 2 through 15 pitches, 10 strikes. I think he got Lindor on strikes, if I looked up and saw that correctly as well. So that's a good sign. I take that back. Lindor made contact. Soto struck out. Alonso struck out in that inning. The Red Sox are now at bat in the bottom of the first. But with regard to Campbell, we don't want to overwork him, get him on the, we need him to play. We don't want to get him injured. We don't get him sore. He was stiff after working out on Sunday. Campbell's a kid. I'm not worried about the drills at first base, getting him too tired or, causing some sort of injury, or I'm not worried about that. But I do think Cora has every intention of moving very deliberately here, and he made that clear. So it doesn't seem like the Red Sox are in any rush to get Campbell over to first base. Make of that what you will with regard to Marcelo Meyer coming up to play second if and when Campbell goes to first. And if you need evidence of that, I'm going to play for you again what Sean McAdams said, or rather what Sean McAdams asked Alex Cora before the game about the time frame for getting Campbell to first base. And you should pay particular attention to Cora's answer. And then McAdam has a quick follow-up. And the tone of his reply should tell you plenty as well. So, Jimmy, if we could play that exchange, please.
The physical stuff aside, how would you grade where he is in terms of what you need to see before putting him in?
I saw the first day. I haven't seen the other two, but Flo feels like around the bag he's moving better. The ground ball is the ground ball, right? And we do believe he's going to make plays, but I think around the bag is the most important thing. We saw what happened when Tristan got hurt, right? Smith, not much experience, and he was in the middle of the bag, so we have to avoid stuff like that. So I don't know where we at in a scale of 10, probably 2.5, 3, and we'll try to get to 10 as soon as possible, but being smart about it.
So likely not before the homestand.
No, yeah.
Okay, 2.5 on a scale of 1 to 10, and not likely before the end of the homestand? No, we're not doing that. No. Dismiss that out of hand. And just to give you an idea, the Red Sox homestand ends on Sunday, which is the 25th. Today's the 20th. They started working out Campbell at first last Sunday, I think it was. So, or maybe that was Friday night. I take that back. It was Friday night. So, it hasn't even been a week yet. Cora's dismissing out of hand the end of this week, which I'm not surprised by. When he said 2.5, and then McAdams' follow was, so not before the end of the homestand. Cora's reply was like, are you kidding? No, that's way too fast. So what does that mean? I mean, are we talking mid-June? End of June? All-Star break? Now, again, we'll see, because by all accounts, Campbell's a quick learner, but don't expect any, immediate changes. I don't think the Red Sox are headed down that road. Anyway, top of the hour, Majori's got your headlines here. He'll get you caught up. Joe Murphy.